Let's go ahead and dive in talking about this story. The record high price of gold, near $2,700 an ounce, is not stopping Costco members from buying gold bars from the warehouse chain, one of the most popular items there, even more popular than the hot dogs, actually. In fact, a lot of the stores were sold out in the first week of October. But are they a good idea? Here's what personal finance expert Susie Orman told CNN.
It's one thing to buy gold and get a physical bar. It's another thing to have to sell it. And that is not what they are thinking about. You have to have it surveyed, all these things. Where do you go? Where do you keep it? Is it insured? Is it not? And so there's a lot of things that I think people really need to think about when you're buying physical gold. Listen, if you want to be invested in gold, you can do it through an ETF. You can do it many ways. But to buy the actual commodity, I'm not sure is something that people should be doing.
Guys, what do you think about what Ms. Orman said there? Does gold have a place in a retirement portfolio? And if it does, how do you recommend people start investing?
I did an interview with Susie Orman a couple of years ago, and I think she has a lot of valid points on things that she talks about. Of course, just like anybody, I don't agree with everything that she says. But I think, in this example, she does point out some good observations about, looking of does, gold have a place in a retirement portfolio? And if so, how do people get started in investing into that? And, if we look at it, I would say gold has been becoming a more popular topic here recently. I think because of the spike that we've seen in gold and silver prices or precious metals. And, when we look at gold and we look at kind of how does it fit overall in the philosophy that we have, we go back to the core belief of the independent income system. And, within the independent income system, what we want to do is have a variety of different buckets of money that are each designed for a specific purpose. And the third bucket that we utilize is oftentimes referred to as a bucket that's designed to give you either a pay raise in the future and or could also be used as an alternative part of a portfolio. And when we look at it and you think about like precious metals and in this example, gold, gold has been a way to be a hedge against inflation. Gold has been a way to provide some additional diversification. It's been something that's been around for a long time and demonstrated value over the long term. In terms of crisis, it can be kind of a hedge against crisis, and it can be a physical asset. I remember taking my two boys. We went to a local dealership in order to get some gold and silver, and to me, it was teaching them about the experience of purchasing that. But one of the challenges is you have to look a little bit at some of the regulations when you buy things, from local businesses or even online businesses, and you're looking at some of the physical ownership. So you have the issues of, what is the difference between what they buy it for? What is the difference between what they sell it for? Some of those margins can be oftentimes very high when you're looking at some of the physical ownership that's out there. As Susie points out, you have the issue of the storage. So if you put that in your basement and the safety deposit box, what happens if somebody comes in and steals it from your house? Making sure that you've checked with like your home and auto insurance policy to see if those type of things are scheduled. If your house burns down, there could be some risk and issues there to the physical ownership of that. And I know it's nice because every couple of years I kind of get it out and I touch and I feel. And even for some of the gifts that I do for birthdays or holidays, maybe give one of those Lady Liberty silvers away. It's kind of a nice gift as a remembrance. I know I did that for some of the scouts who had reached some different milestones. So something cool to have and own. But when you're looking at it and you're thinking about it as an investment as far as your retirement portfolio, I would say yes, it can fit into the part of the portfolio in that third bucket, the alternative space, the pay raise account. You want to keep in mind that when you look at it, there's exchange traded funds. So there's investments that you can buy through a variety of the large financial institutions like, Charles Schwab, Fidelity, or some of the brokerage houses that are out there. And you can get an ETF. And so what an ETF is going to be is a little bit of an easier way to maybe have an ownership interest in that category space within your overall retirement portfolio. That way you don't have to worry about a safety deposit box. You don't have to worry about some of those other issues that come into play. And usually you have quite a bit of transparency. So, I can go online, I can look up the price of whatever a gold ETF is, and I can see, what that price is. And usually then it's going to make it pretty cost effective to be able to get that ownership interest. And then, as Susie talked about, if you have the ETF and a couple months later you decide you want to sell that investment, it makes it easy to do. The one thing that I would say is I'd caution investors about is going back to chasing results. Oftentimes what you have is you have investors that will wait until things are doing great. So gold prices this year are doing great. I hope they continue to do great for those of you that are invested in gold. But buying an investment after it's had massive run up is chasing a hot investment. So you have to be careful about that. Again, think into your portfolio, how it fits into the overall goals and what you're trying to accomplish. Don't just jump into an investment because it's having good rates of return, assuming that those rates of return are going to continue in the future. Dave, I know you get that question. It's become more popular as well when people are asking about gold and silver.
I would say that when you take a look at owning gold and silver, going the ETF route makes a heck of a lot of sense because you can be nimble within that. So the ETF has an underlying position in gold or silver, and if you want to sell your shares, it can be sold almost immedately. It trades like a stock. So it is highly liquid. You don't have to worry about you don't take physical possession of it. You can just hit a button on your computer or have your financial company hit a button on a computer and it can be sold or it can be purchased in that method. I think the other thing that you got to be concerned about or think a lot about is what concentration of the total portfolio should you have in gold or silver or commodities. And there's a lot of people that have the idea that you should never be more than 10% invested in those kinds of things. And I don't have a real clear opinion on what is an appropriate size of investment to have. But Nolan's right. It does provide a hedge against inflation. It does give you the potential for a income boost down the road if the prices continue to appreciate. And it does. When markets get dicey, people call and say, should I be investing in gold and silver? And I've had a few of those questions lately. So it's kind of comes down to how do you feel about where the market's currently at? And does this really make a lot of sense in keeping with the goals that you have for your retirement?
It's all about thinking about the bigger picture when it comes to your retirement. Could it be a valuable place, have a valuable place in your retirement strategy? Sure. But you also want to be wary and make sure that you know what you're utilizing it for. The same companies that are offering to sell gold on TV are the same ones that are trying to buy it at other times. And I'm pretty sure it's probably going to benefit them more than it is you. So doing your due diligence, being smart about it. If you have questions about this and you want to see if it can be part of your strategy, part of your retirement team action plan, well, give the guys at America's Retirement Headquarters a call, 419-794-3030. Or you can go to the website as well, set up a time there, arhq.com.